Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sick of This Show. It is Nick Paro with my good friend and co host, So. She is a prior therapist and psychologist. We have our friend Descent in Bloom with us here today. Also, I'm going to give her a second while she's continuing to get her mic and headphone or sound working. So my good friend So, she's in the bottom left corner. Is a prior psychologist. She's out of Canada. She has a master's degree in psychology, and is a chronic illness sufferer just like myself. We have our two guests with us today. The first is a returning guest from last week, Dr. Stephanie Wilson, who is, for us, Stephanie, as we'll talk to throughout the show. So don't worry about hearing doctor all morning. We'll say doctor for the who. And she is also a chronic illness sufferer with us today. And if y'all notice there's a bit of a theme going on, it's chronic illness care. And then finally, we have our friend Descent in Bloom as she's getting her stuff ready. She may not, if unable to, um, oh no, she's still unable to hear us, which is really unfortunate. And if we need to drop her for today, that's okay. Um, just give me 1 second. So, do you mind introducing yourself for a moment while I message with Descent for a second?
Hi, everyone. So, my name is Soso, short for Sonia. I'm a French speaking Quebecoise, which is the province of Quebec in Canada. I've been on Substack for about, honestly, a few months. I am slowly but surely gaining subscribers. My goal is to be out here, to not be silenced. To gain some control over what's going on in my bigger environment, because I feel like I'm an earthling. This is why you see the map of the world. I love traveling. I love connecting with people. I actually have a show with my friend Kat, who's in Houston, Texas. So we were like north and south. It's not very like a regular thing, meaning like we don't have a set time, but it's usually on Tuesday and Thursday. On Thursday at 8 o'clock, we have also a guest whose name is Dr. Lynn Litton, who is in Austin, Texas, and she is a doctor specialized in addictions. So yeah, connecting with a very interesting people. Nick is a great host. We have also connected over the fact that we are both chronic illnesses sufferer. I have fibromyalgia, which does affect the way I think, I feel, I act. I think that's it. I'll let you go on, Nick.
Yeah, and welcome back. And unfortunately, we had to drop one of our co-hosts and guest for today, Descent in Bloom. She was having some audio issues. We're going to try this again with her here soon. But we're going to keep going on this discussion because we were having a good pre-show talk about living with chronic illnesses, and I want to make sure Stephanie gets to introduce herself here too, for all of us. Um, and I want to keep that discussion going because it's really important, especially right now. So, Stephanie, can you introduce yourself for everyone today too?
Sure. I'm Stephanie Wilson. I've been on Substack for several years, but really only been creating a lot of content for about two. I also have my Substack is Freedom Over Fascism. I'm also a developmental leadership coach and teach classes in leadership, where the focus is on empathy and better humaning, as I say. And I have had migraine since I was 9, chronic, then episodic, and chronic again since 2011. So that means I have a migraine every day. and various other things that sort of are connected, but not exactly, you always love it when a doctor says, I've never heard of that before. It's the best.
Yeah.
The other best thing is when they say, well, why don't you lose weight? That'll take care of it. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this. It's not something I talk about a lot outside of, my poor family who sees me walking around. I don't know if you guys have this. I have a headache hat. It's a thing that goes around my head that is an ice pack, and I have 4 of them, so I can switch them.
I don't have one of those, but that's pretty cool.
You really
I have never seen them, actually, to be honest.
Oh, you know what? I'll send you guys, maybe I'll put it in the chat if I can find it. It helps that pain, but it also helps brain fog for me.
Oh,
like if I'm really foggy, the ice against my forehead helps sharpen things.
That's good.
Because I think that's another thing that we all have in common.
Yeah. So one of the things I do is, we were talking behind the scenes a little bit about like care and how shitty it is. But also about like what we need to do and what we're doing to like work through it and work with it. That's one of the main themes I want to talk about today too overall. But like I have one of those thyroid or not thyroid. Yeah, it's the air compressed machines where it's like a thyroid. No, not thyroid. You sit in this like gray suit and it just wraps you with air and it pushes on all of your and it pushes your like fluids and stuff up your joints.
Wow.
And it helps relieve pressure a little bit. It's like I got it through the VA. It's this like, Medtronic device that I sit there for 45 minutes and I look like someone in Tron. You were talking about the headache wrap, and I was like, oh, that fits perfectly. It literally has a head helmet that you can wear, and it'll press your head in like the pressure points, and all it is just an air compressed thing. But it's this like helmet that's like silver and just velcros on, and I'm like, I am a Tron character waiting for it.
Wow.
The only piece of it I don't have is there's a diaper attachment, basically, that compresses your butt and your hips. Well, I don't have that one. I have the upper body and the helmet and the legs. I'm just missing the full suit of armor. One last piece, and I've got the full suit of armor.
Nick, someone is asking in the chat, what is it called?
I'm gonna try and look it up again. I don't remember the exact name.
And when you're saying it's a tool that is actually is it offered? Is it do you actually borrow it? How does it work? Do you have to buy it?
I don't have to buy it. It was offered to me through the VA as a benefit of being disabled and a veteran. I think it is a thyroid press is really what it is, or something along those lines. But I don't remember the exact name. I will try and look it up. But it's a benefit of being a disabled veteran. And we were talking pre-show about this. It's really, really sad the state of our healthcare system, or lack thereof, in the US and even in Canada in some ways, because you guys don't cover psychological care to the degree that it maybe should be for folks. But like on our side, we just don't have care unless you pay for it over in a cost prohibitive manner for anyone who's poor, who are those who tend to need it the most, or those who are most disabled, or if you're a disabled veteran. And like I'm lucky, and I said this on a show the other day, I'm lucky to be a disabled veteran because I have a currently guaranteed healthcare system that includes mental health,
Hmm.
services, and support to reimburse and pay off ambulance bills. Like,
Hmm.
I can go in an ambulance and not go bankrupt because I'm a disabled veteran. And I have to say that I feel lucky because of that. And that's fucking horrendous. Sorry for swearing, but that's
That's okay.
so horrendous that
It's
that's how it
enraging.
has to be.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's maddening. And even then, I'm not to say as a pity party, I'm a male, and they don't believe, most doctors still are at the point where they don't want to believe, or a lot of doctors don't believe that fibro is a male disease. It impacts men in any way. It's suck it up, buttercup. You're just wussing out for having pain. Well,
Mm.
if women
Well,
can have fibro, why can't men have fibro?
I have to tell you, it is a also something that I've seen. Well, fortunately, in Quebec, what I when you read about their association on fibromyalgia, and it is true that men are underrepresented in terms of the people that belong to these groups. It's mostly women. There are medical theories as to why is it that women are more likely to go and get help, just in terms of like the whole, not just taking care of their physical health, but definitely taking care of mental health issues. Usually, women, it is a fact that women will most likely go and seek psychological help than men. So,
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate. um, but I also think that's a product of our culture. Is
mhm.
It's very much a product of our culture.
Well, yeah, diseases get, gendered, but then also uh, most women aren't believed anyway for being women, that they have pain because they're women. So it's pretty much fucked up all the way around.
Yeah, well, it's pretty shitty. Like, it's like there's not much else we can really say. It's fucked up, it's messed up, it's screwed up. Like, men can't have certain diseases for some reason because they're women's diseases. Women can't have certain diseases because they're men's diseases. When pretty much all of those diseases that are said that they can't be shared are shared because they're human diseases, they're people diseases. And I really am tired. I think the big one that I'm tired of in a lot of that, or sick of, because I'm sick of this shit here, is the idea that women respond to pain so much differently or in such a reduced level that they don't deserve, like, drugs and healthcare when they're pregnant or during while giving birth or having regular checkups, and
There's
no
some procedures.
anesthesia and things like that. And like especially believing that Black women for some reason feel even less pain than white women, and
Oh my
like just
God.
the racism that's built into our system of medicine is really disgusting, unfortunately.
It
Um,
is. And I can be, what women's health here is absolutely barbaric. Um, I had a miscarriage before I had my son, and um, several of the procedures, no human being should go. They said, "Oh, take a Valium. It might hurt a little bit. You can take it and leave." And I felt it in I mean, it was going up through the bottom, and I was feeling it with her. It was terrible, and why they expect women to just not have any pain relief, or it's ridiculous. It's, I mean, the deep-seated misogyny, and worse for Black women, as you said, racism. I mean, it's terrible.
and unfortunately for that, right now, anyways, there's not a lot we can do other than talk about it, until we gain any sort of power back on a political spectrum. Is because we don't really have healthcare. We have response care in this country, and it's
We
typically
have sick
emergency
care.
response.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have sick care. Sick response. I don't think we even really care half the time. I think it's just responding to it because they have to and because it makes them money. Sometimes. But I want to talk about like one of the things I wanted to get out of today was not so much complaining about the systems that we live in, as much as I like to do that sometimes, is talk about things that we do that are actionable and helpful for ourselves. Is we are in a very high stress, high anxiety, and often overly fast paced environment that doesn't give anyone time to breathe. Um, and so I want to open this question up for discussion around it is what do you both do? And then I'll give my thoughts in here too on what I do. Is what do you all both do to provide relief or work through the anxiety and the stress and this ever changing and fast paced society to deal with your chronic illnesses and cope with them?
That's a pretty big question there.
And we can break it down into any parts too of how do you deal with your chronic illnesses right now in the high stress and anxiety? Like what is your go-to methods for dealing with them?
You want to go ahead, Stephanie?
Sure. Well, I overuse pain medication. The migraine drugs that I take probably contribute to more migraines. And yet doctors will say, oh, well, you just have to go off all pain medicine for some period of time. And I can't live my life and raise my kid and whatever without pain medication. So I've just basically ignored that and I feel like a drug seeker. My son, unfortunately, I gave him migraines too. And it was a very nice gift of me. And he has the same meds that I do, but he's been having them less frequently. So I'm like, could I take his medicine? I didn't say that. Anyway, so yeah, I take a lot of medicine. I sleep a lot. I sometimes, I feel like I do a whole lot less with the podcast and the writing than a lot of people because I just can't sustain that level of effort. I can do maybe one or two things a day, and that's it.
I totally understand
that. Yeah,
I get it. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said I'm building my Substack, but slowly but surely.
Right.
Yeah, and
I need to rest a lot too.
It's a lot. So what do you do, Soso, for it other than rest a lot? Because I know you and I talk quite a bit. So for those who don't know, Soso and I are friends outside of this as well, outside of just Substack as well, and we talk back and forth on our chronic illnesses, and we give each other a support system to be able to help each other when we're not talking about it on live for others.
Yeah.
At least for me, that's something I need and something I use as a support system of actively finding folks who have the same or similar or suffer from chronic illnesses just in general, because it's easier to talk to people who suffer from chronic illnesses about chronic illness than it is to those who aren't.
For sure. They know what you're going through. I mean, that's what I told Nick. I mean, I have been on since a few years, because it takes a lot of time, right? First of all, to diagnose fibromyalgia, because it is an exclusive diagnosis, which means you have to go through all the physical tests in order to find if there's nothing else going on and you have current recurring pain that is have been going on for 3 months or 6 months? Anyways, you have to go through the whole process, like seeing, I think first of all, you have to kind of like be the expert on your own illness, because only you knows, what's going on. So I would suggest, first of all, making sure you take notes, because sometimes it takes so long to go see a professional medical expert, that you like get there, you have like what, 20 minutes, and then you're like, nah, 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 and then you're most of the time, I think that just the stress of getting help, because I don't know, because you didn't get the help that you wanted to get in the past, or it didn't lead you to basically getting relief. So I would suggest first, make just a small notebook. Take a notebook and write down your symptoms. It has to be physical, mental, and emotional. Just make sure you have like columns, and make sure you take notes. So that's a starting point, because at least it is something that is concrete. It's not just like floating around in your head. And Stephanie, you were discussing brain fog, which is usually when it's hard to just use your memory skill. I mean, you know what I mean? Like your short-term working. Sorry, I'm looking for my word now, but it's because it's in English. Your
Short-term working memory.
Your working memory, exactly. Short term, that's it. So when you have a notebook, then it's easier. You can connect things easier, because it's actually. But this is something I've always done since I was like a kid. I've always, in my experience, I've always learned better when I would write, not just read, because then it gets like, it's.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Make sure you have notes, and make sure you're ready before you go to a medical appointment. And then you are the expert. You make sure you connect the dots, and then when they're like, yeah, but we've done that. Then you have the receipts, you're like, okay, no, but I did do that. I did see the specialist, because they don't necessarily have access to all of your files, or in different hospitals, or so that would be my first step. And then when you have the diagnosis, because this is just like trying to navigate through the medical system, what do you do? For sure. I find that there is an app called Visible, and Visible is something that I've used before getting a ring to actually monitor my symptoms. Well, I'm saying symptoms. It's more like just checking out. I don't go crazy with the ring, but at least I can see how I sleep and if my heart rate is too fast. So that helps. It's a Galaxy ring. But
I've never seen that. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of, if you don't want to have a smart watch, it's like a smart ring. So that's something that I got only recently. But if you don't want to, because it's at least like $500 in Canadian. So if you don't want to get that, you can use your phone. There's an app called Visible. Okay, I'll write down the note. Wait, and it actually uses your telephone camera to, when you rest, you get up in the morning, you actually you use the camera, and it takes it does the measure of your heartbeat, and it measures also the heartbeat variability frequency. And this is something that is the predictor in the studies of how you're going to be doing during the day. So it's kind of complicated, but this app really allowed me to see. And it was actually, Stephanie, it was actually developed by someone who actually was a researcher, I think, believe in tech. And he actually started having long COVID symptoms. So, and I'm sorry, I have to go because there's someone at the door, and I think it's my electrician. He was supposed to come later, but go ahead, okay? Sorry.
Okay, I'll mute you for a minute.
Okay.
We're dropping like flies.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's no. The fibro fog gets me the most, or the fog is really one of the worst parts of it for me.
Well, it seems like you're on a lot.
Yeah.
And that takes more energy than I have. I wonder how you're managing that.
I do it because I have ADHD, I have fibro, I have some neuropathy in my legs, and some stuff, and chronic degeneration in my spine. So I tend to have to stand a lot right now and do like a lot of just keeping like my body moving. And so I find that it's really about if I can continue moving and I can keep going and I just don't stop, because I'm stubborn. I'm as stubborn as a mule. Um, is that if I just don't stop, I well, I guess I sort of just push through the pain, be what that may, whether that's healthy or not. I do it, and I'm other than that, like I use I use medication. I'm trying not to get over medicated, um, but my body knows really quickly when it is under medicated, and screams at me. Um, and so I don't know. It's I think it's I only do I do or I'm able to do it just because I just force myself to keep going. Um, it's probably not healthy. Um,
Is there a point
and
at which you just like collapse and like it gets to
yeah,
like you hit the wall and then that's it for a while?
yeah. So I mean, you probably understand when I talk about this is it feels like I'm wearing a headband that's too tight every day or a hat that's too tight every day. And when it gets to the point where my eyes will start losing focus on their own is when I sort of stop.
Mm-hmm.
Is I that's that I know I've gone too far. Is
Mm-hmm.
when I can stand there and like lose focus of my eyes while I'm in the middle of something. Um, Other than that, I mean, yeah, my legs will start just giving out, or my back will really give out, and that's when I've known I've done too much. Um,
Yeah.
and um, we looks like we have so maybe back with us, um, and but it's really the headaches that are the main thing, that are really the hardest part.
You don't have to
Um,
convince me. I don't think people understand how debilitating migraines, headaches, whatever can be, because you can't push through that pain.
no.
It's not a pain you can push through. You can push through a lot of other things, but like for me, it just, I'm medicated, so the pain isn't that bad because I take medication for it. But if
Hmm.
I don't, it's it. There's no functioning. I could lie there. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, and I can definitely tell when I don't sleep well. Um, I have,
Direct
I
impact, right?
yeah, and I use a CPAP at night, so I have sleep apnea too, um, which actually since getting diagnosed and having a CPAP in use has really helped my sleep. Um,
I
I
hear that from a lot of people.
I don't, but I'm still stuck at the point where I don't feel rested.
Mm.
Um, I'm um, I'm just less tired than I was before, um, and I think that's one of the things too that most people don't like or don't know about is it's not that you're rested; it's you're just less tired, or like,
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
and like dealing with all of this stuff it's a struggle every day. Um, So what are other than like a physical thing that you might do um like you talked about wearing an ice pack around your head or your migraine helmet or um
Yeah. And I also have a TENS machine, and I also have one of the other migraine things. I want to ask you guys, how many alternative therapies have you tried and gone through before deciding that, or just gone through? Because I feel like I've done them all
in
at
terms
some
of
point or
like
another.
TENS machines or like physical
or
therapy,
like
acupuncture.
acupuncture, craniosacral therapy, Reiki, uh, um, myofascial release. I don't. There's more in there, but like
Oh, I hate the
anytime
myofascial
people,
release.
hmm,
I hate
what
the
was it?
myofascial release.
Oh, I think it's done. It's done differently. Somebody 20 years ago did it in a way that was good, and then not. But like, there's always like this. Oh, well, have you tried that? And then you're like, okay, well, maybe it could help. And then you spend $1 bazillion, and then chiropractic, and then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, well, that's sad.
From my experience, at least through the VA, they run you through the gambit of whatever is required that they make you go through. So I did physical therapy and I'm still in physical therapy. I've tried acupuncture a little bit, but it didn't really do anything through what I was doing. It only ever made the area sore. I've tried the I'm like I said, I'm in physical therapy. I've done I haven't done aquatic therapy yet. I hear some people find really good relief in that, at least for fibro, because you're not putting pressure on your joints.
Yes,
And I do enjoy swimming, so
same.
I like to float in the water and walk back and forth at the pool while I'm there. I think that's a good bit of exercise that doesn't hurt too much. There was
Takes away
something
the
else.
pressure out of your joints too. If you have osteoarthritis, for sure, going in the water is really nice, and especially hydrotherapy, like going into like a jacuzzi or personally, again, it's you have to be able to afford it, but if you're able to have access to some sort of heat therapy, and then I find that kind of like the shock between heat and cold, when you're able to do it, is very good. Afterwards, I feel relaxed for the whole day. I feel good. Like it's really hard though to get into the cold water, but I love sauna, steam bath. I find that it really helps me just uh, kind of like shut up the nerve, like, because in my case it's often a lot of burning sensations, and when that happens I get overly fatigued, and really I have a lot of rigidity. Like, have you can really tell when I have a bad day. I call them fibo flares. Like, I have to run up the stair. Like, I usually I'm able to say, like, go up the stairs and kind of like either walk fine, or when I'm doing well, run. But when I have a flare, I mean, I'm just like almost like, holding onto the rail, like having a hard time. Sometimes I even feel like I have to sit down to go downstairs, but then I don't want to do that, especially in front of my daughter, because I don't want her to have this. And that's something that I find really hard, is the guilt related to feeling like I don't want to be seen as someone who's kind of like not able to do things as I used to do them when I was younger. I mean, I didn't, but see, that's the thing. It's the intergenerational when you're it's the image you think of yourself, what you're kind of like transmitting to your children. And that's something that I find really hard, is but that's the thing, it's the image, which shouldn't be an issue, because at the same time, it's kind of, it all has to do with accepting your condition. And like, it's almost, I would say, I don't know if you've spoken about this, but there is an aspect that it's almost close to mourning. You have to sort of like accept that there will be days and that's what's hard, because you feel like you're almost back to your whole self. So it gets you always like thinking like, okay, yes, it's going to get better, da 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 da, and then you crash. So that's something that is hard to try to, it's, if you write down in a journal, like, I have started making like my own, like, I call it self-care journal. Like, what does help me, and this is one of the things. Remind yourself, like, okay, I know you're tempted to get your hopes up, but remember, it might happen. You don't know when it will happen, but you will have another flare. And when it happens, don't guilt trip yourself into thinking that it's your fault. And that's hard. It's just like live and let live. I don't know.
I think one of the things too that I do that is less on the physical side, but is definitely on the emotional, mental side, is I go to therapy for it, and I talk about it openly in therapy, um, so that I don't bottle up the emotional side of it. And I mean, the other big one that I do is I write poetry, and for the emotional and mental health side is I write poetry about it here on Substack, and I put it out to the world, and I talk about it, and I'm trying to create groups like this because we can support each other with good ideas, and like practices we haven't exposed ourselves to. Um, but I
Exactly.
think journaling is a great one, even for the mental health side. Just for the mental health side is just
Yep.
acknowledging that it's a problem and it's something that may never go or probably will never go away. Like there are rare instances when it does, um, but like those are rare and few and far between, and you have to acknowledge that it's present and it's chronic and it's forever. And then where do you go from there, and how do you
Right.
address it?
Yeah.
What about you, Stephanie?
Um, so there's a lot of things. So in terms of parenting, I had to stop work in 2011. My son was, I don't know, toddler, preschool. Um, he's almost 18 now. And I would stay home while he went to preschool, and I was not able to be present with him very much. Like my husband would take him places, but there's no way I was going to go to um, a theme park, or one of those places where they don't have much but have bumper boats and lunch or whatever. I couldn't do that. Um, in that first period, my chronic fatigue was so bad that like I could do very, very little. And so I worried about being present for my husband and my son, but more for my son. And then this is a very weird thing. In 2019, I had, so in those years, 2011, I gained like 70 pounds when I was like, going to different doctors to figure out what, is it this, is it that? Well, this treatment helped, that treatment helped, between the meds that they put me on and whatever. And so I had bariatric surgery. I had weight loss surgery. And within like 2 weeks, my energy levels were like tripled, quadrupled. It was unbelievable. I hadn't even lost that much weight yet. It's unbelievable. So that was kind of like a, wow, I can be half a human again, so what I have right now with the fatigue is much, much, much less than it used to be. But, sometimes I sit like, and if I go like this, I don't have it. Like my husband will be like, do you have a headache? I'm like, no, not yet. And then like, yep. But
Getting
20 or
there.
30 minutes, it'll come. Right. And my son's like, is that a headache face, or are you upset at me? I go, okay.
At least somebody said it in the chat, is having chronic illness, or our kids learn empathy from being exposed to parents with chronic illness. And I want to say that more. Well, yes, but I'll condition that with, I think kids learn empathy from parents with chronic illness who accept that they have an illness and are willing to like try and combat it in some ways. Like even if whatever little may be done for that illness, even if especially chronic conditions that are terminal, like people who have terminal chronic conditions and are still able to do all the things and make their lives continue to work while they have that time with their kids and their families or whoever they have. Like, I applaud those people so much
Oh
for
yeah.
for the strength that they show. Like, it's so sad how willing our society is to give up on folks who have disabilities and those who have chronic conditions, or like ignore them. And we can see the callousness of it being ever more present with things like, I'm going to say it out loud because it needs to be said, is Brian Kilmeade on Fox News
Oh
yesterday
my God. Oh my God. It was
talking, or
awful.
the other day talking about the euthanization or forced murder of homeless people, just for the crime, I guess, of being homeless. Even
That
though
was so enraging.
homelessness isn't a crime, it is a failing of society and a failing of our government to help its
Yeah.
citizens and support its citizens. And Walter, Ryan, and I were talking about it a little this morning. Is I said one of the things I've talked about is a disproportionate percentage of homeless people are veterans. And even if that number is small in comparison in some groups, it is still disproportionately large compared to zero. Like, the fact that we have more than zero veterans who are homeless, and now we have Fox News advocates who are advocating, or Fox News anchors who are casually advocating for the murder, state sponsored murder of these people, it's unacceptable. And Brian Kilmeade should be fired. His other hosts should be fired. The apology was unacceptable. That's a direct attack against veterans, but it's also a direct attack against mentally ill
Mhm,
people,
mhm.
people with chronic conditions who are about to lose coverage and can't pay for things and maybe become homeless because of it. Like, we can't allow that to be a normalized trope because it's
I
very
agree.
othering.
But also, it's one more step to dehumanizing people. Like
Oh,
I think I was having a conversation with you, Nick, a couple years ago. People are like, "Is this the bottom?" No, no, no. Lots of murder is the bottom, right?
Mhm.
Uh, Maybe it wasn't this conversation. And by dehumanizing whoever it's going to be, whether it's homeless or trans people or um, LGBTQ or Muslims or Jews or Blacks, or, once you get to the point where people aren't quite human,
mm,
like, it's bad news. It
Yeah,
is really bad freaking news. And we've seen it so many times over
yeah,
history that seeing someone say that out loud, they've been their policies, like take the immigrants and take them to torture chambers or traffic the children and women or whatever. That's sort of happening a little bit behind closed walls.
mhm,
But like, once you come out and say we should just kill the homeless people,
mm,
that is a big, big step. And
yes.
there was no outrage. Not, I mean, there was a little bit on Substack, but I didn't see it like.
Not
And that's
nearly
very
as much as
frightening.
there should be.
Right.
I have
Very
seen
frightening.
it in the Canadian media's outlet, and there is outrage. Like, because also it kind of it reignites the debate that's been going on for a few years, because you have to uh, see what is different between that and legalized state euthanasia.
Oh, I
I
just
mean,
read that big article about that.
I mean, you're freaking out because people are asking. Because in Quebec, okay, you should know that we have the right to medical legal aid if you have a chronic, but not just a chronic, like a life-threatening, imminent. You're gonna die, like cancer. You can actually, when you get to a certain stage, and if we have access to being able to actually go in dignity. What legalized medical, what is that called in English? Like, it's
Suicide.
legal.
It's medical assisted death in They call
Yeah.
it MAID,
Yeah,
right, in
yeah.
Canada?
I don't call it suicide because for
No.
me it's really sorry, but it's really
No, I
associated with
totally understand it.
yeah.
Pushing back
So
on the idea of it being suicide too, because it's you like you said, it's really not.
I
it's like, I mean, you're choosing to die in dignity, but it's because physically your life is going to end, like something is happening. And it's not just like, and that's when I was talking about the big debate, that's still happening, because in Canada there's this huge debate about, do we legalize it for people who have mental illnesses and to chronic. And this is where I make the link, and there's a huge setback, because we're like, wait a second, it doesn't mean, even if you're like, all the psychiatrists were like, big warning, my personal opinion is, you shouldn't go there. You shouldn't, because there's always the possibility that you're going to find the right treatment and you're going to get help, or your circumstances of life might change, and that is potential, and you should always see the potential. I mean, for me, the only time there's no more hope, you could say, is basically you have cancer, and your cells are dying. I mean, what else? I mean, I don't know. It's like, I know it's a very, very heated moral debate, but I mean, there's a difference between that and like what you're
oh,
describing, like the Fox host, like saying,
Yeah.
okay, like these people are costing society too much. Like, let's get rid of them. Like, isn't there like dystopian books where that happens? I mean, it's so different. We're talking about moral. This is a moral discussion. And I find that we need to elevate the discourse and not just be like little wild animals. It's like, okay, you're the fittest, you survive. Oh, you're like this broken ill little animal. Like, you die in your corner and we're gonna go and survive. It's like, what the hell? I'm sorry. This is where I get like riled up and so pissed off, because I find that we need example. You're talking about empathy and leadership. I am so interested in those topics, because that's what we need. We need empowered leader that will lead to positivity and not heinous discourse. And I'm just like, yeah, okay.
no, totally. I just read a really long article in the Atlantic, I think, about what Canada's medically assisted death, and I am also of the age where my parents are aging, and my grandmother died of Alzheimer's. So there was 10 years when she didn't know what was going on, where, man, when I was, I think 18, she said to me, and I'm 53 now, we were looking at her mother, who was still alive. Okay. My great grandmother lived to 107, but the last 7 years she was kind of not with it. And my grandmother said, do not let me get like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, what am I going to do? But she did get that way. And there was nothing anybody could do except like,
Wait.
Yeah.
And then, she had to be like befuddled all the time and have infections all the time. And, my father's got early dementia. What the hell's going to happen with him? My mom ends up in the hospital for a week at a time. And like, getting old is horrible. But my mom's like, getting old sucks. It's the worst. It like, and I've been thinking a lot about that. Like, so there's us who are younger and in constant pain, and then there's the people who are older and and it's the constant pain that only is going to lead to death. And why should their last years be so horrible? I don't know. That's a whole other soapbox. I know. I'm sorry for
And
going
I
there.
totally hear you, Stephanie, because most of my on my dad's family, I mean, and you have to remember that most of these illnesses are genetic. Like, I mean, you're more likely to get them if you have the gene, right? I'm talking about neuro degenerative disease. And on my dad's side, no one. I mean, there's 9 kids, and I mean, my oldest uncle is still alive, but all of them are gone. Like, and most of them through neuro degenerative disease. And I had my godmother had a mental, well, a cognitive decline, and then ended up having full frontal dementia, kind of like Bruce Willis, the one where you stop talking.
Yeah.
And towards the end, I mean, she was being kept in a place, and she would actually use her own fetuses to draw wallings on the walls. Like, I mean, that's not that's your own dignity. She, of course, people can say like, oh, she had no idea what was going on. But when people who are witnesses in the family see that, and they're like, okay, I have the gene, I might end up like that. Well, now that I have my full judgment, what is my choice? And do I have that choice? But yeah, it's very it's a subject that causes a lot of moral discussion, and also I would even say, like, sometimes fights between different sections of and I'm saying not sections, but like groups. If you look at, it's like pro-life, but what kind of pro-life? It's like, anyways, I'm just
Yeah. And so, no, I think that's a good place though today for a stopping point too, is um, is the idea that we're at a really hard place where people don't get to make choices for themselves very much right now.
Yeah.
And that's a lot what this discussion, I think, to me is about, is making choices for ourselves and actually having a say in our future and our current health and what we do with our time while we're here. And so to wrap up the discussion today, I want to give Stephanie, you first, a chance to plug yourself and plug your what you do here on Substack and elsewhere, and let people know where to find you. And I also want to, before you do, invite both of you back for more discussions on this, and hopefully bring some additional folks on too for some larger discussions.
I am happy to join again. So you can find me at freedomoverfascism.us. And if you're interested in the leadership development courses and coaching that I do with two partners, my husband and then another friend, it's becognitionlabs.com. Just becognitionlabs.com.
Okay, and we'll make sure to add that in the show notes too for you.
Oh,
So
okay,
if you can
great.
send me
Thank you.
that, let me know, and I'll add it into any of the show notes.
I see somebody in the chat who was in one of my first migraine groups ever, like 10, 15 years ago. It's nice to see her. Anyway, yeah, I would love to come back and talk about this stuff.
Awesome.
And so thank you for the invitation, and nice to meet you, So.
Yeah, same.
And so how about you? Where can everyone find you also?
Well, you can just click on my name, like on my link on Substack, like so. I think it's wait. Anyways, I'll just. I don't necessarily have I don't have a web page. I don't. I just. I'm kind of like a free spirit on Substack, like going from one. I would say one life to another. But I do try to have this show that's called Connections with my friend Kat, who is in Houston. And basically, I also, the only link that I have is my Instagram, because I do photography as well. And I try to, that's part of also being well, is try to connect the different dots of what makes you feel good. And for me, it's being in nature. I want to share, sometimes it's just pictures, places I've been. When I'm able to, I try to be very mobile. So I do hiking. And there are days like you, Stephanie, I need to just sleep. And but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward, Nick. I think you've been a great voice on Substack. I call Nick a Substack superstar, because I think he was on Substack after me, and now he's like, we're just like, following his progress. Anyways, I'm very happy for you, friend. And I just want to be part of the conversation, and love meeting people from all around the world. I just wish this world is going to continue being on the right track and fight the evil empire is important. So, so yes, very nice to meet you, Stephanie. I think I'm gonna check out your work too, because empathy is a superpower. I believe that.
So thank you both. So thank you for joining me as my co-host today, Stephanie. Thanks for being a guest. We will be back again. I'm going to look to see if we can organize a couple more of these and get Descent in Bloom and some others on with us. So thanks again, everyone. As we always say, let's stop being sick of this shit and let's start doing this shit. Have a great day, y'all.
Oh, good. All right.
Enjoy
Thank
your
you all. Bye. See you
Thank you.
around.
Bye.